Let's talk about truth. We triggered some stuff yesterday with Leviticus, and Colton had mentioned some ideas. Roxy was offended. Mm. Now, the offensive takes place because of a truth. I want you to realize that there's something you're going to have to get over, that your truths create your reality. And you can argue all you want that they don't, because you can yell and scream right now and say, I don't choose this, I don't want this. This isn't what I created, manifested. All of these things. But the truth is, all realities are created by truth. If you have a truth, it will be known. It cannot remain in the unknown. Consciousness is a pool of potential. Consciousness is a pool of, I'll make this into what I want. See, creation changes forms. This may look like a solid piece of wood, cabinet, fixtures, and dishes, a little bit of honey, for Roxy's little yeah, it's a brownie that comes and visits. See, that's creation, consciousness, and it's constantly changing form. See, the coffee pot machine is not the same one we just saw. It's not. It's already gone. It's long gone. It's over there, being absolutely something else, that portion. And everything that's passing through you is creation as a truth. And everything, your body doesn't stay here. Your hair doesn't stay here. Nothing stays here. It is all here and now, but it doesn't stay here. It's constantly the unknown and known, changing. That's what it's doing. So when you are angry, Colton, that is your truth. Now, the emotional reaction in your human mindset of therapists and psychologies is that the anger is a reaction. Okay? Now, I want you to all stop and really listen to that. Okay? It's a reaction. So, how can a truth predicate a reaction? It's all in the now. There is no time. But you have congruency, and you have grown to know time as an absentee God. Sure, makes perfect sense. So now you're starting to see that my creation that I created as a truth has been challenged by another truth. Therefore, giving me a reaction called anger about the truth that is no longer valid. And the truth doesn't have to be, it is subjective, but it doesn't have to be subjective in the idea of the capability that you guys have called objectivity. See, that's another ingredient in your reality. Your reality of objectivity is I can label something, target something. I can blame something. I can admire something. Roxy envies beautiful women. They're just magic to her. All women. Beautiful. So in some regards, she's envious. So she has the ability to objectify, right? You see, that truth objectified will be challenged somewhere in this idea of a truth here that's held and not noticed until it is frequencied to be made notice by one simple thing. You guys being your truth. The ones that avoid their truths, avoid recognizing themselves, are fast asleep. Give them a pillow, a warm cup of milk, and let them slumber. Let them slumber. It's not your truth to wake them up. But now, here we go. Here we go. Now, here's another wonderful aspect. Does your truth need to be known? Does your truth need to be held as a truth by others? Can you stand on your own without anyone's approval of your truth? Does it need to be a convincing? Do you have the mastery within you to challenge your own truths? Is where the journey really becomes epic. You're going to get challenges every single day by being you on this planet of limitation, of truth held in time. Is the truth held in time is the reason, look at it now, for limitation. Because if everyone accepted now as the new truth, there's no controversy, is there? Time held is the reason why you have limitations, because it's a challenged truth. So if you discover something that seems to be a truth about you, and you grab onto it because it gave you something. Now, here's another master part. It gave you some kind of connection that you felt inspired, worthy to connect. It felt home. It felt connection in and of itself. The desire to seek ceased, and the stillness returned. And then as life journeyed, that truth began to waver. Sometimes it was forgotten. But when it became challenged by you or your environment or your environment in the now, then that truth became a crutch, became an anchor, and became part of your separation. And you would have to convince people to believe it, because you just can't accept you can believe whatever the hell you want. It's very difficult to do that, isn't it? When your entire frequency was built upon time of outside sources of truth instead of the internal source, I am. So, truths are reality. Let's look at basics, okay? I'm going to give you a truth. I am. That's a truth. However you perceive that is up to you. You can still negate that you are I am. Even if you go to the mirror and you have the ability to realize you are saying the words I am. So in that, in and of itself, you must understand the capability to say I am and realize I am must mean you are. And you can still say no to that. Because that's a truth, and that's the way your reality will be created. Not in details. Let's not pay attention to the manifestations that everyone's trying to do. You guys are distracting yourselves with those trying to manifest when you already are the greatest manifestors ever. But it's the truths that kick you in the ass that you don't agree with. Because as Colton, anger is realized because he's being challenged. Okay, Colton is decrepit in his worthiness. You have a creative source from that anger, Colton, and that's unworthiness. That's the best way to say it for your mind to comprehend it. It's much deeper than that. It's a continual algorithm that's been reinforced by you just because you have chosen that approach to life as a truth. So whenever your worthiness becomes challengeable, you are angry and you lash out, you get upset, and you hunt, you target and hunt to get your vengeance so you can feel worthy again, because your worthiness has been challenged. And it is very exciting to see yourself challenging yourself. But your mind wants it to go away. Your mind, Colton, wants it to go away. You get so mad when all this stuff keeps coming back. But see, that's a truth, that you are mad when it comes back. And that's why you are mad, is because you are choosing to be mad about that, which is a truth. And therefore, the reality can't do anything else, my friend. It can't do anything else, because that's the way you are translating it. Maybe you can see this is the way you have. Where is that, Roxanne? Thank you, darling. Maybe you can see how that is your creative skills. The way you guys are feeling, connecting, creating, experiencing reality is really a different approach to see that you guys are and have been creating the neutrality of all that is into manifesting a reality, a frequency to give you an experience. You have anger, but you dislike anger, because anger is an approach of this truth, saying anger is a bad thing, which is another truth, beating the shit out of each other to give you an experience. You're going to have to, if you want to let go of your anger, is you've already been through, you've already let it run through you, but now you're trying to fix the anger. To fix the anger is to know the anger. Because anger is not anger. Anger, your anger, the vibration experience is the sheet of paper. Your anger, because its existence, is the Eiffel Tower. It's what you make it. You cannot have experience if you are in non-existence. And since non-existence is ever now, birthing and collapsing all the time, then what was becomes what is and becomes what was. What shall be, what is, what was. Again, but always in a different form. You never use the same thing twice because there's nothing to use again, but it's always the same because it's all one source. It's all one pool of connection. There's no this or that, it is. So your anger, Colton, is for you to see, I get to experience creation from a truthful standpoint. And when you become the eradicator of your own darkness, to bring back your light as a choice, let's hang on. There's some thoughts. Let's not make this into a purpose, because this journey is not a purpose, folks. This journey is purposeful. It just is. Because you didn't intend to come here. You created this experience. That's what Jennifer is playing with, decision. I'm wondering, Jennifer, if you can see, just real quick, I'm going to give you a side note so your mind can go off in this direction. If the now is still, don't you have time to make a decision? Of course. That's how you create. Okay. So Colton is challenged because of this detail of action and reaction creates an equation through the filters of truths that he has embraced as a truth, willingly and not knowingly, by his fault and by default, but not bad fault, his choice. That truth is your Colton reality. And you feel anger because that's what the body feels like to the mind. I'm feeling anger. And the mind goes, we are angry. And you accept that truth. But you don't have to accept any truth because you are stillness with choice. You are stillness as choice. You have both sides. You have everything inside of one reality, time and now. And you can take your time to choose. Reaction is the unnoticed, giving you the immediacy, the details repeated in your life to give you the same thing you felt before, anger. Give you the same thing, happy. These details give me joy. These details give me reaction. That reaction filters through truth to have an experience. So Bianca is a god. I know her well. She is a set of rules that she abides by. You're a set of rules that you abide by. But your rules aren't dictated. They've been accepted. For you had no knowledge of acceptance. You had no understanding of debates, choice. You remember now, before you came in here, there was no reason to choose. You were always choice. When you got here, the babies, your children, we have no reason to choose. We are choice. We just played until we were taught no. Then we understand we couldn't choose that. So you become a set of belief systems or rules that, let's say, wander you through reality, that guide you through the paths. And everyone's always trying to adjust their path, trying to make their path better, as if the path could literally be worse. How can creation that is never sustained be anything but perfect? Well, because you can see your truth in perfection as you choose, which makes, of course, everything perfect. So you got to realize Bianca is a set of truths coming up against a set of truth, and a lot of these harmonize. You know, there's a lot of bridges that are, let's say, created because you're both, let's say, exceptionally what you call pleasing to the eye. The measurements are symmetrical. The stature is that of befitting each one of you in what you would call sensual. Part of creation. Perfect. And so there's bridges gapped that are now mended between two of the separate, and you start to become a unum. But in that, you have gatekeepers, toll roads on these bridges, things that can't come through unless they are investigated by your frequency. And then if that becomes obtuse or upsetting to you, you are triggered in a reaction because your truth is being challenged. The truth of your rules. Here's a girl that does an action, and here's Colton that reacts to that. So he's a set of rules, she's a set of rules. And then you don't like what she's done because those were whole rules. See, the rules guide you. They don't dictate you truly. They just tell you to do this and do that. But see, sometimes someone has free will. Did you guys ever notice odd behavior in your life? See, that's when the rules are being bent by somebody. They're going beyond their norm. So their behavior is changing because they're not being what has been their rules, their beliefs, their personality. It is challengeable to many who perceive you as something of behavioral change, very challenging to parents and loved ones, to things of that nature that would upset people because they've changed. And when you're upset because those rules aren't meeting your rules, Colton, you're triggered in anger. And again, I'm not here to fix it because it's not anything but experience. You have enough in this class. Each and every one of you have enough to be a God whole. But it's not a quest. And don't turn it into one, because then you're going to be a lackful whole. You're going to be exactly what you are, just from a different angle, with a different set of, let's say, truths that are rules, truly. Because whenever you attain something in time as a predicated motion of movement, then you know you're going to use your rules to engage and, of course, accomplish. In other words, limitations to get you to what you already are. Because you can't bring that into this and expect this to change. That is truly new here. But you have the ability to rename your truth as a continuation. You have the ability to bring your truths with you in time. All of other creation doesn't choose truth. They are truth. They're constantly in the now choosing without choice, because they are the choice of whatever comes. Whatever comes along as a potential, they choose. But the chosen is not. The chosen ideas are not debated. They're not hesitated, and they're certainly not measured or weighed in a frequency of betterment, of better outcome to avoid wasting time. It's nothing like that. That's down here thinking. So Brendan spent his whole life trying to become better when he's already been more than he can ever imagine. But his truth is, since his image does not create this frequency of said truth acceptance, futuristic, then he is continuing between these 2 points of the image created by now being in the lack, and the image that he will attain by now being lack. But he can't attain it because lack will never be attained in lack. There will never be an ending. It's the continuation of the same truth. And if you have a same truth of lack, then the lack cannot go beyond itself. Because lack is the same dragging along. So that's why you've never changed, Brent. But you're changing all the time. You're experientially changing. In the big picture, of course you're changing. You've changed creation. You've changed people's lives, all that. But you're not seeing the change in what you call your truth. Therefore, that's your unique experience. But everyone around you is changed because of you and is changing with you. Oh, certainly, of course. But you're not interested in those details because those aren't your truth. Your truth is I am less than. I am inefficient. I am unworthy. I am a disappointment. I am a failure. And I have to be something in connection to regain my emptiness. And you do that through your ideology of your kids, the way you treat and joke at people and poke fun at people and make up things and be a little edgy and be something of noticeability so you can get some kind of worthiness connection again. So you can feel I am. And see, that's your truth, which shows you one thing. The I am is present because your truth is being realized. Never discount you're already. But that's your choice to discount. Because discounting you is a measured scale of lack to find a better you. And that's a journey chosen through a set of truths or rules, whatever you want to call them. So everybody's truth. Now I'm gonna give you something here. Okay. Oh, pardon me. Good to see you. So, little visitor. Organic melt butter. This is This is at one time a tire off of a 57 Chevy. Right there. But Roxy takes consciousness and pulls it into this form because she's accepted truths for an experience. And one of the experience was, the dairy doesn't work out anymore. It gives her a reaction in this idea. But the dairy, in and of itself, is not the total picture. There's other things involved, or medications and things. And then she truths herself about being ill, and so therefore the experience must be. And she takes the antibiotics from the what is that called, Roxanne? The stomach doctor. Yeah, that guy. So, gastrologist. Thank you, Roxy. So the gastrologist gives us this idea of this truth. This is going to help you to clear up because you might have this. So Roxy takes this medicine, and she's been having this reaction for a year. See, the truth was, it was this. The apartment with the dust, which is a lot of dust in here. And therefore, she has that experience. It's not cause or effect. It just is, okay? Then she changes her truth to realize when she cut out dairy, it had this reaction. And then she was realizing that that reaction could have been enhanced by the doctor's medicine, the gastrologist that gave her that idea of medicine. But the only thing that, with those antioxidants, cleansing, amoxicillin, what it did is just give her hemorrhoids, and they flare. So now Roxy has a truth that she gets to experience that portion of life. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It is. All of these is Roxy's experience from truths, guys. They're not right. They're not wrong. But now, since she asked the class and she got some input about the ghee and the truths about that, and the probiotic melt and the truths about that, her truth changed. And then she ate it because she enjoys toast, butter, or now melt, and strawberry preserves in the morning. It's one of her favorites. So she has that, and now she can eat that, and it feels good because she has accepted that truth. That's all it is. See, she could have eaten lard. She doesn't have it. You don't have it, right? No. Like Crisco. Remember the blue Crisco? She could have used that, and it would be the same experience of truth as this, as ghee. See, you believe they're different because the equation of signature comes in as a differentiation, and you choose that truth, but everything truly is changeable. See, it's not that you change the definition of a signature. I'm always going to be God. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. You're always going to be God, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. But you can change the signature of the experience and change it into whatever you want it to. But the stone is that I am as you are. So the Crisco, lard, butter, ghee, probiotic melt are all their individual signatures. But as you agree with them as a truth, they become experiential in the truth of frequency. So not one does anything. Nothing does anything. It just is the frequency of how it is to be experienced, but not measurable experience, not good, bad, or indifferent. That's where you guys get so lost in this idea. Because you're always trying to label frequencies as something of a truth to contain some ideology of a spoken truth to another, so you can feel good about yourself giving another a freedom or something, whatever. There's a billion ways to look at what you truly do, all of us down here, all me. So all of these experiences are signatures. They're signatures of vibration. that come into your reality. Okay? But see, that signature, this idea, was one time rubber. It was a 75 R14. That's what this used to be at one time. So it was neutral, but when it comes into the reality of Roxy's creation, it comes in this signature, and then she becomes the truth of it. And when she heard probiotic melt, she goes, that sounds good. And then the frequency was unfiltered, and therefore the experience became a truth, and the what you call the harmony was unmeasured, right? Unfiltered. It wasn't labeled from other truths on what it's going to happen, what's it going to do, what's this, la, 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 la. She just let it come in, and it spoke to her because harmony has returned. That's why anyone can smoke as many cigarettes as you want. You can smoke 4 packs a day and live to be 150 years old and never, ever, 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 ever get any kind of negative ill effects. Because it's how you create your truth. And that gives you the experiences, guys. You can do it all. But how your relationship with that truth becomes the edge to be known. Because it's a truth and you're a truth. The magnet's a magnet until I give it a new truth, but it's still a magnet over there. My reality, I've turned it into a coaster. So you got to start looking at this game and not such finites of your mind. Because your mind loves finites. It loves finality. It wants to know a conclusion because it gives you comfort to have all your ready. What you guys have? You have ducks in a row. You're squared away. The Mason terms. On the level. 3 squares a day. It became an algorithm of being efficient as if time is really pressing. See, these are all truths. You have to look at really what you are. And it takes a master of observation, a meek master, to be humble to the self. And it is very powerful on how much power it takes to be humble when you're so easily triggered by anger. You're so easily triggered by another. You're so mad at truths. One of the things is the idea of the Muslims when the women cover themselves. Roxy sees that and she's going, man, you're just keeping yourself in prison. She wants them to know you don't need to be covered. You don't need to be castrated. You don't need to have that religion. You can be free. But if she does that, she becomes just like everybody else, telling people what's wrong with them. Here's my truth. I'm going to shove it on you. Why the hell are you doing that? Because you need acceptance. So Roxy knows that she's enough with her own truth. So she turns away from the ideas of being upset about other people's truths and seeing the imprisonment that they contain themselves in on a daily basis because they just can't be the I am. When Roxy can't be the I am yet, she's still fucking working on it. But every point of realization that is a truth challenge because of the frequency details your experience around you gives you a friction vibration that's no longer preferred, then you must know you are evolving. And the evolution of you cannot be contained. It can only be what you call illusionary of sustained truth. But still you're evolving. You're still flowing. You're still changing. You're still collapsing and exploding every freaking now. You're taking the stillness and you're whipping it up into a grand idea. Truly. So these ideas that you look and bestow a truth upon another, that you have to do this or this is going to be better for you is very, let's say, truthful. But it can be looked at in many different ways from the approach of yourself and others. So others can see you as, oh my God, that's awesome. Thank you for telling me, because they are unworthy of being their truth, so they need to be led. And if you find people that will follow you, you will lead. Because being a leader is excellent. It fills your emptiness. People love to be leaders. A lot of people are afraid to be leaders because they're afraid of failure. That's why they become more followers. That's why you have a mass amount of followers and very few leaders. But you all now are understanding you're just leading yourself. So you don't need to lead a flock. Because leaders, of course, will collapse because they'll run out of energy. Because everyone that's led long enough become their own leaders. That's why empires fall. Because the finites must be changeable. All finites collapse upon themselves to birth a new idea. That's why all empires fail. United States, big, awesome country. No, United States is, I don't know, 7th, 8th place in a lot of things. 20th, 30th, and other things. It ain't the leader anymore. It's an idea of a leader trying to take its flock and contain them to a leadership idea. But this is the whole collective truth. You're waking up. But anyways, the idea of this belief systems that are coming up, your rules that you engage life by, when they are triggered, Colton, then you know one thing, that you can't fix it. But if you choose to try to keep fixing it, then you contain yourself within that same playground. You lock the doors and say, I have to play here. I must play in this playground of fear. I have to be here. I have to engage in this because that's what my truth is. And you're not going to make it go away. Just look at your life. Nothing has gone away. It just changes form because you redirect it through a new idea. But the idea of relationship with that is still the same lack. It's still the same rule being engaged, and therefore you are re-triggered and re-triggered. You guys call everything read this or read that, out of alignment, misalignment, whatever. That's your truth. Perfect. But those are all chosen. I really want you to know something. If there was one truth, then we would all have died. We would be in non-existence. If there's a standard anywhere, then you know that is limited. So if someone speaks to you a standard that you need to, then you know immediately that they are empty and they are seeking fulfillment through your acceptance, because they know not their truth is enough as they choose for themselves. No truths ever need to be justified. No truths ever need to be spoken. Truths are represented in daily action, daily expression. You guys call it behavior. You call it your dress, the way you wear your makeup, and the way you dress, and the way you walk, and the way you talk, and the music you listen to. Every day you are expressing who you are, how you are relating to reality. The what you are is built in. That's a God creating. But how you get to experience life in and of itself is all done through your truths. See, let's talk about hypnosis and past life regressions for a second. Those past lives are experiential now lives, which is, ready everybody, a chosen truth. Okay? So lives are now and past and future if you choose to have that experience as a truth, and therefore it will be truthful to you. Even though maybe you're not been experienced of that, it's still in here as maybe a convincing, but somewhere you feel that's a good enough truth to accept for now. You can even do that. So let's look at past life regressions. They're the same thing as massage therapy. They're the same thing as acupuncture. It's a truth of an experience. It doesn't mean anything until it is assigned the truth for the experience, and as creation flows through it, then you, the God, get to feel a past life regression. Hypnosis. If you accept hypnosis as a possibility, then you will be hypnosed because you can be, because that's your truth. But is it something needed? Of course not. Is it something valid? Of course not. And of course, all according to you. Nothing is standard. Everything is chosen. All truths are truth in the eye of the beholder. That's why we gave you that. But it's too daunting. It's too much freedom to an unworthy spectrum. A spectrum of light that only has one, maybe two beams of its own light shining out of it. The rest is drudged by the mockery of mankind, bestowing its lack upon you, feeding you your known. There's a truth out there right now. The 60s, the hippies went against the system and changed. And now there's a new set of hippies coming. Not even the millennials. The millennials are getting old. The next generation, they're just not going to be anything that no one is going to believe. Because they're going to be gods. Because there's enough work that's been done in truth that says allowance. See, it's not the truth of my truth that you need to accept. See, that's leaving. That's this generation. You have to do this and have to do that. But the next generation coming is not going to be convinced that they have to do anything that their parents say. But see, here's the gift, is the parents not expecting them. Because the millennials right now are getting understanding of choosing truths because of every generation. Every field generation provides more freedom, evolution, especially in a dictatorship of limitation. So this next generation that is going to be being birthed in the next 10 years, those children are no longer going to be interested in old truths. And they're going to be gods, and everyone's going to go, holy cow, how is this possible? You're seeing it now. You're seeing young and younger children doing amazing things. Well, they're not amazing. They're creators. Your amazement in yourself is something that has to be gained, something that needs to be measured and equated in comparison to be amazing. It just can't be accepted. So all of that can go away in the now when you just start being I am. And you can be as great as you want to be. The compassion for mankind from an awareness God is that of great demand. Because you see your freedom, you understand it, you really do, and you want to share it. But if you are a bickering preacher about your truths discovered, then you will sustain another separation. Because no one can be accepted unless they accept themselves. No truths will ever be accepted unless they accept themselves. The representation of accepting who you are is the highest act of love that's ever been engaged. So keep doing that for yourself. And if you want to mess around with a better life and trying to get this girl to love you and be a better guy, Colton, then you can do that. And that's generational. Those are rules. But if you approach the now as a different way of living, then you can know this. You can know that I am enough. And no matter what, Bianca, no matter what you do to try to make her love you, if you're enough, she'll love you because you're enough. You don't have to try so damn hard to be awesome. You just haven't accepted that you are awesome because there's not enough proof that your rules say. And I don't have I don't have any money. I believe, how can this girl love me when I'm just this poor little train wreck of a man? I'm scared shitless of my own shadow. I lash out at people and cuss and put them into boxes as soon as I can, and I make fun of people to make them feel bad so I can feel good. How can anyone love that? Well, because love is. All you have to do is accept it in yourself, because she is sure has accepted herself. It's whether you want to play with her or not. It's not right or wrong if she doesn't play with you, unless you want to make that your truth. And then you get to be that God, of course. So choice can be looked at as a vibrational preference engaged in the moment, always in the moment, never in time. Time is created as part of the choice. Always know that. I think Dane. What's that, Jennifer?
I had a question.
What?
So when you talk about the I am enough,
Yeah.
that vibration of I am enough is non-polarized.
Well, enough is need nothing, so of course no polarity there.
So when you experience the I am enough, you're in that, I don't want to say perfect because perfect seems...
It is perfect.
Okay, so perfect...
Relationship to reality without any filters running it. How about that? Does that help?
Yes, it does. And so
Okay.
I don't want to say difficulty, but sort of...
You can say difficulty. That works.
The difficulty in being that is that you're no longer being the human that goes, if I suffer this, I get this. It's just a thing that is, and it's an emotion of non-polarization that we're not familiar with.
Very good. Yes. But see, the choosing of no longer being the human is a very, very big thing to understand, because within not being the human, there's 1,000 rules that you've engaged.
Right.
So you just can't do it in one fell swoop. That's why you journey in the now and be your truth, and you'll expose every ounce of limitation you contain as a truth that exists in the past that you never need to bring forward.
The I am enough is literally being that in every moment, just seeing whatever shows up, which is your choice in the natural. And
well, yes,
being able
but
not
keep going.
Not engage the polarized side of it, just knowing that it's always right no matter what.
Oh, yes. But see, the relationship with that can still be lackful, because you can be feeling as if you're convincing yourself, I'm enough. That's why we always say you got to choose your joy to experience your worthiness return, to know that I am enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just feel that sometimes choosing your joy still is, if you're just choosing it in the moment, you're on that roll, you're on that slipstream.
Yeah.
If you're, we were talking about decision today with Roxy, and I understand what you say, it's in time. Same thing with choice, though.
Yeah, okay. We can have that, right?
So then when you're choosing your joy, that's in time, that's somewhat polarized, no? It's not
No. It's you're choosing your joy. That's the way you guys relate to reality as a truth. But your joy's already been chosen if you want to know the big picture.
Right, that's it. It's right there. It's knowing that.
Yes. Always two different approaches. If you're coming from a human point, then you're going to gauge the human standpoint and the rules. If you are coming from an allowability point to not define it as anything, let the journey unfold, and then it's going to speak to you as the new truth accepted.
Yeah.
Then the choice is made to accept. Make sense? You've already accepted it. That's why the truth is there. That's why the epiphany is there. But whether you want to be that truth in the now or choose not to be that truth, then you have the two different experiences, and the next now is. But that's just the truth of you. That's all it is. It doesn't mean anything. Oneness now doesn't have to do anything with this now. These are really good.
No attachment. It's really, really getting out of your own way.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because you are the engager of the rules. The I am that you. Okay? And what I mean by you now, everyone just do this together. Okay? You get up in the morning, you have your eyes, you get out of bed, your mind starts to think, you start to be aware, you get up, go to the bathroom, put your shoes on, slippers, whatever you do. You know you. You feel that you. And if you engage that you with the same relationship, you can feel, I have to do this, I have to do that, this is who I am, this is who I am. Then you know you. But there's always more to you. And when you stop engaging in the you that you were and be the you of choice that you are now as a potential, you get up, I don't want to get out of bed. You get out of bed, you become you know. You stay in bed, you become you of potential. None of them are right, none of them are wrong. They are, I am, the truth of me now. Right? You see that?
Yeah, I do. I got the image. Can't explain it, but I have the image in my mind.
Yeah. So all of humanity is having a great time down here with their truths because they're creators. And in order to create experience, you have to be your truth, your chosen I am. The wonderful idea behind humanity is you can bring truths with you in time. We had no interest in choosing an old truth because we were eternal explorers of the unknown. Then we discovered time, and then we discovered, we're going to put this parallel in time so you guys can equate it with congruency. We discovered time to give ourselves choices in time to have a truth and a different truth for two different experiences from the same you. And in that, holding on to the truth created the you of past to create the you of potential. And you can go, and you do, all of you go back and forth between them all the time. It's just when you experience what you call the highest amount of friction, you are challenging one of your big rules. It's easy to get over this idea. This guy goes blah, blah, blah to you. And if there's no relationship of a belief system or a truth or a rule challenge, you don't care what they say. But if that person has an equation to you that is greatly defined as something of a measured belief to be cultivated, held, and maintained in place, in other words, an authority, and they challenge you and they're going to leave you, then you are shattered, and then you become a reaction to that, which would be called a frequency shift, and you put it into anger or upset or betrayal. Well, how can anyone betray anybody? Well, because they can. They can see that you betrayed me as a truth, so they get that experience. And then the other person gets to be that experience and say, I did, I betrayed you. And so now they experience that reality together. Nothing has nothing to do with anything else. It's just that simple moment. And poof, it's all gone, and poof, it's all back. And that person that says, you've been betrayed, or this person says you betrayed them, and you can go, no, as well. And therefore, the relationship with that is a different experience. See how simple creation is? That's all it is. Make sense, Jen?
Yeah, thank you for that.
All right, Dana, you have something, and then we'll talk to Daniel.
Yeah. So in the now, when like the coffee pot is the coffee pot now gone, coffee pot new.
Yep.
So in the aspect of all truths are truth, all our decisions are choices.
Yes.
and nows, it may seem like the same choice it was, but that choice is now new. Like, I
Well,
mean,
absolutely, the choice is true, but how you relate to that choice
yeah,
becomes your truth and gives you the same equational experience or a different one. If you relate to this as no longer my truth, you will get a different experience with the same details in front of you. If you keep that same truth, then you have the same experience with that detail in front of you. In other words, that's why you keep getting angry at one person that does something particular.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Well said. Very well said, Dana.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Daniel H. H. Daniel H. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just was listening earlier and just like a couple minutes ago, and sort of felt over big sense of overwhelming loneliness and overwhelming sort of like, what am I doing? Why am I approaching reality in this way that I'm doing? I feel like I'm like, my truth is up here, and like I'm like here in this like randomness, and like up here it's like the real me, and like I've been holding back from that for like years, and I gotta do something differently.
No, you don't have to do anything different. Firstly, let's go ahead and relax. See, now let's go back to what Jennifer was pointing out. You're enough, Daniel. Okay? But what you are is engaging in new realities of accepted truths. That you are enough in and of itself is starting to work on you. That's why you were feeling empty. Because you don't have any measurable accomplishments to fulfill what you were. And always trying to change you. But it's not seeing the change, so therefore having an experience of depression and loneliness. And that's the cycle. The cycle's starting to change because you have chosen differently. You have chosen more of your worthiness. But since in a frequency of time measurement, whatever you find as a truth, those things of success have not showed up, you feel empty and you're scared. And you're up here and you want to do something. And that's the mind trying to get you to the peaceful idea place. Well, right now, Daniel, you're here and now in existence. I created you. You're enough. Now, that's enough for you to accept for at least the next now. And now you can say, I'm enough once again. And let it build in the mind. And go ahead and say rhetorically to yourself, if you want, you can say it out loud, that I'm enough. And then you have 3 nows. We're going to pace them out in time because the nows are just way too fast for you guys to comprehend with your timelines. So now you're enough again. Because see, nothing has changed except that you are knowing that you're enough is the change. That's the change. See, that's not the constant. The constant is you're trying to be enough through the status, and that's what you're shedding. What you are now discovering that I am enough is the change. See, you're enough now, and now you feel different. See the change? See, the change doesn't come in materialism things. The change doesn't come in location. The change is a relationship to reality. It is the way you were filtering your truths before, allowing them to be unfiltered in this truthful rules that you were set and bestowed upon you all your life, as you just claimed. And now your frequency relationship, what you are experiencing, is running through a new set of filters. They're kind of the same, but they change in the moment. They're not replaced, not one taken out and another comes in. No, just like everything, they transform in the now. So they become less and less, and you become more and more of what I am, which is the constant of the now, of I'm enough, truly. Okay? And still, 2 minutes after we started talking, you're still enough. But even though now you can still have doubt, because the truth of you that is stronger than the I'm enough truth says you're not enough, and you feel uneasiness and a little bit of loneliness because you're not fulfilled. Now, of course, someone can knock on your door and say, hey, I heard your music and I want to pay you some money and to create this for me. And then all of a sudden you would be enough. You would be worthy. You would not be lonely because your action was fulfilled with something of dependency to say that you are enough, whatever your mind defines as enough. And each enough in the idea of limitations fulfilled, dependencies fulfilled, if you will, is very, very unique and intimate to each individual universe. That's what makes all experiences subjective. So if you look at yourself, Daniel, for a moment, what you have now is not what you need. What you have is what you are. And that is where you're journeying in change to know that what you are now is enough. What you need has never been needed. And that's the experience of going through the truths that create black holes, that create suns, that create nuclear detonation. That power is the truth that you are leaving. It's the equal. It's called creation. And you have never not been that point of creation, ever. You just may not feel like it. But you truly are creating right now the same equal of creating an entire continent, creating an atom, which is just monumental. So that's what you're creating and also transforming. You're creating new truths for you to have your experience through as reality chosen as a truth. And as that becomes less, the feeling of not having dependencies no longer present as Daniel's enough through, I have enough hair on my head, says Brent. I'm a good enough actor, says Judith. I'm a great business person and I know how to save money, says Michael. When those are not there as truths, then the challenges and the pain returns to emptiness because you're no longer being filled with objectivity. You're starting to be the subjective universe again. And the convincing mind needs something that says better, fulfilled, awesome. When you stand enough because you are chosen as existence. But that doesn't work for the decrepit mind that only relies on materialism objects outside of it. Materialism in itself doesn't mean just physicality. It means badges of ideology, accomplishments, no priest pies or something. So that absent leaves this lonely because there's no regeneration of my worthiness through outside. And that's what this game is doing now, discovering that you are transforming your truths through the filters of your own chosen in the nows to choose your new truth and release your old truth as you see your truths to be. No one else can tell you. That's why when people bark their truths at you, you know they're being challenged. Otherwise, they wouldn't speak their truths. There's no need to because they're perfectly coalesced. All creators never need another to show that their truth is being accepted. Because we are our own truth, which gives creation forever. And everyone else being their own truth gives creation forever. Make sense? Daniel? Okay, so now it's 15, 16, 17. So 7 minutes, okay? And you're still enough. You've had engagements as I spoke, and me and you co-created. You've had movement inside of you that says more than what you were when you first spoke the question. So you can look in time and feel a relationship. It's still not solving the problem because you're empty. It's still not enough. But if you're a master in the meek and allow yourself to feel the experience of what you call emptiness, loneliness, then your relationship is is all of a sudden noticed as that loneliness is quite filling. It is existence, isn't it? I am experiencing, aren't I? It's just not experienced in the way that you preference as a measured scale, polarized. You're enough, Daniel. But I'll never convince you of that. It has to be chosen.
Yeah.
Following?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, I mean, if anything, what I'm majorly getting out of this is that when I feel that loneliness, to not avoid it, but to.
Of course, don't avoid any part of creation, because creation, in and of itself, your loneliness is a composition. Your loneliness is a bagel with cream cheese on it. It's what you create. It's the same thing. It's the pool of everlasting neutrality creating for an experience. So you just happen to take this portion of creation, and a minute ago was 1,000 years ago. That portion of creation 1,000 years ago is now your loneliness, because you have taken creation and run it through your truth filters to have an experience called loneliness. You following that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever you want to take away from it is your mind placing it in accordance with what your truths are to have an experience. That in and of itself is your truth. You see your truth, you're always engaged, no matter what you are. You're always yourself, because all your truths are experience and creation simultaneously. Are you following?
Mm-hmm.
Truth chosen creates. Truth chosen experiences. Dana, you have something else?
Yeah, I just want to share with Daniel that when I'm in that focused awareness of mine now, that I become that I am enough. I become filled. I'm just so fulfilled within the stillness of that moment. And no matter what brought me there, whether it was a sadness or fear or whatever the case may be, when I'm in that awareness, I fill up. There's nothing that else that matters.
Damn right. Here, I'm gonna give you another idea. Here's another reference. Brent, you okay? You want to say something? Brent, you okay? Okay. So let's look at Roxy went to a holistic fair on Sunday. And there's all these mediums and psychic readers and tarot readers and all these healers. So let's look at some truths here and how this world is being engaged. Whoever goes there is there because they were attracted to it. So let's say that this person is a healer, and they're over in the corner and they have some kind of little machine, and they have this big thing on the wall that shows all this thing. It's a reflexologist, let's say that. And they have all this massage and touch points and things like that, and it's a nice grand stand, right? It's a beautiful grandstand of an apparent. And that vibrates in this person walking in that's looking to be healed, because that's their truth. So they created a healer. And that now becomes a truth. It's an experience. No one's right, no one's wrong. Everybody is their now chosen truth. But if someone comes up, right, and this person doesn't have someone that's been attracted to them, because they're now being lackful, because they go and they bought space for this idea, and they're not getting any abundance, so they're already in the hole when they showed up because they're lackful about themselves. Truth, perfect, okay? So they understand that they haven't got any clients to fulfill their lack. So they start advertising, and they start trying to attract, and they use scare tactics. You don't look well. I have something for you. Here, come and sit down. They're inviting lack. And then this person that is an approach to them doesn't want to do that. But sometimes they give in because they are unworthy to say no, and their experience is two truths. But it is not the truth of the healer and the healed. It is not that truth. It is the truth of two lacks, which is the experience of most experiences upon this idea earth. It's like Roxy's an incredible salesperson. She did very well as that because she understood how to be authentic in sales. And when she's going to like Buckles, then they have to, she's after a pair of jeans, and their job is to grab a couple of shirts and say, what about this? And always try to upsell Roxy. And Roxy knows that, but Roxy's not going to give in to them because they need. Roxy stands them up and says, you don't need to be lack with me. You're enough without trying to upsell me. She stands them up every time. And now their relationship has changed. So she walks into Buckles, and they know Roxy's going to get something most likely, but they don't need to what? Upsell, because then that Roxy goes out the door. Because her truth is not to be pestered by other people's truths, which is your guys' truth if you choose to walk away from someone that's becoming a preacher. Someone has to represent that it's okay to be enough on their own. And when somebody is always trying to preach their truth and no one shows up, then they're going to find a new truth within themselves. It may take them a little while, but if there's no one buying tickets to the show, they'll change the show. Always know that. So these are all not rights and not wrongs. They never have been. That's the way your truth has told you they are that. You need this idea of chakra healing. Chakras aren't truths until they were chosen to be truths. Now they're truths because they are the emptiness, all contained and filled in the now, creation, spun up by the creators, each and every one of you, to create a truth called chakras that contain inside this idea of the physical body. It's a truth. Now you can engage in that truth and say, yes, it is. Or you don't have to. When it resonates with you, that just like that one that says, I need to get healed, let me find a reflexologist, that was a truth, and that world was created with harmony. It's not that she could not be healed on her own. She could, of course, do it on her own, but that was her truth. And this is that person's truth. Therefore, they get a wonderful experience. It's when you give in to yourself of lack, then your experience becomes the friction of lack. That's why you guys have bad times, because you had some kind of truth that was not met. There's no bad times. There's no disappointments. There's no obligation. Those are truths that you run as a set of rules, reality to pass through to give you the experience. It's quite simple, guys. Keep being your truth. Charmaine, you know your truths. You need to choose them, or you don't. We can say need because that's my truth, or you don't is my truth. See, all of these are perspectives of truth, and you get them to choose. That's why you got to be a master of your truth and go the journey and start to choose your truth without the consequence mind engaging in hesitation to give you an idea of a possible fear. Just choose. You know your truth. The only thing you're going to get is what you are. And all of those what you are's, if you keep choosing your truth, will never be what you've been. Any other questions? Hey, Tom. Hang on, guys. Surprise. As it's been engaged as a truth already. You know that, right? Just kind of pop up. Yes. Someone had something? No? Anyone? Well, that's all I've got on truth. You guys have enough. It's just very scary, we understand, to be okay with who you are. You want other people to approve of you. You want a successful sewing project weekend, Nancy. You do. You want enough people to sign up, but you don't need those people because you're enough. If no one shows up, then you have your class with yourself. And I'm telling you, you're one hell of a God to get to know. Don't discount that. All right, everyone. I'll bring back Miss Roxy. Oh, Charmaine, you have something? My pardons.
Yeah, so is it that a truth is a thought that you just keep thinking about?
It's not you keep thinking about it. It's offered in the moment as something of frictional ideas. In other words, your truths are mostly unnoticed until you start choosing your worthiness, not the friction of, oh, I'm not allowed to do that, so you don't. That's the truth that you're never really thinking about, right?
Okay.
Did you ever just say, I got to go to work, I got to go to work, I got to go to work? Well, you never thought I don't have to go to work. But one day you said, you know, I don't want to go to work. Then that day was a new truth to be presented. Whether you chose it or not is up to you. But it's not always thinking. Are you following what I'm saying?
Kind of. Not always thinking.
Yeah, but all truths are not always noticed in the now. Because you just said, what was your question? Say what your question was.
A truth being a thought that you keep thinking about.
No, it's not that you keep thinking about it. It's not noticed until it becomes challenged.
Okay.
Whenever you do something, let me ask you a question. Is your truth to go back to the UK a truth? See, that's it. Now you know you're challenging a truth because you don't want to go back to the UK.
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's the easiest. But see, the mind wants to complicate it to try to dictate it in some kind of consistency of what we call complex. But the universe is so fucking simple. It's just choose your truth, and your experience will be that truth. Period.
Okay.
It can't be anything else because all realities are created by creators who choose the what? The ultimate truth, whatever the hell it is. So all the people running around Earth and being conspiracies and being this and yelling and screaming and shooting and killing and labeling and all that stuff, they're just being truths. There's no rights, no wrongs to it. It's creation being itself.
Right.
And if you guys want to see yourself evolve, which you're going to, you choose yourself, your truth, and represent the potential in everyone else to be their own truth. And that's exactly how unconditional, as and always will be, created. Because everyone is their own truth, and we don't care about anyone else's truth because everyone else's truth is perfect. It's so beautiful to see someone be themselves. Till it challenges your truth where it becomes a friction, an experience of separation. Are you following?
Yes, I am.
There you go. Better. Yes, Dan.
So when you have that friction, even then, it's still your truth. You're just allowing yourself to suffer for it.
If you want to, sure.
Yeah.
And suffering is a choice in and of itself to choose. It's the equation that's been put into place. I choose to go to work when I don't want to, so I will suffer me going to work because that's what it feels like, because that's what it's running. I don't want to, but I have to, and you go to work and you have a very bad time. You may have a few laughs, but you don't feel good. Your truth was to stay at home and stay in bed and be lazy. But now there's another truth that will be filled because you're challenging this truth of obligation. And now here comes this truth of the emotional experience called guilt because you're not doing what you're obligated to as a truth. You see how it works?
Yeah.
So there's always truths being engaged in the now. And it's if you're willing to take the journey of your truth now. That's always presented by the whole of you. Yes?
Yeah.
So Charmaine gets on the plane. She goes back and does what she's supposed to do. She gets something else to get something else and something else. Or she chooses her truth in the now. And if that is to get on the plane, she gets on the plane. And see, what happens is everything starts to fall into place because her truth is vibration, and vibration only gives her the next experience of herself of evolution, instead of choosing the vibration of the currency of you are, the current, which is the currency of your now truth vibration, to hold yourself in a contained field of this bright. Can't get any brighter because I'm not allowed to stay here. Yes, Jennifer. And you guys choose whatever truth that you are. Don't be afraid of it. If it is, I can't go beyond. Kind of like Colton has an experience and he goes, I don't feel good. I need my peace of mind. So I need to choose that truth. So he goes and chooses that truth to feel. But he already had the truth. It's like, I don't need to. But since that was too scary for him that he didn't need to, the truth was to go and get peace of mind. And that's fine. It's not a consequence. It's not a wrong thing to choose this way. It is your experience. Now you see that the nows are each individual, unique moment of the now, and they have nothing to do with one or the other. But you guys have a truth that says they do, and you have that experience. Make sense? Jennifer Sipe. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey.
Hi.
So just hearing what you've been talking about made me think of a couple things. Isogenics has a person that is big in isogenics. I think his name is Dan the Millionaire or something like that. When he started out selling his isogenics, he would go to his meetings and nobody would come. And so he would just, like you said, do the meeting for himself to like an imaginary audience. Yes. And so he did that as much as he had to over and over and over again. And then eventually there were tons of people coming and, you know, he became a huge success. And then in thinking about your truth, whatever your truth is, you know, like for me, I'm not a good salesperson. I don't want to be a good salesperson. I have no interest in it, and I've been trying to be a good salesperson. It's just not going to happen because it's not my truth. But I do believe.
Bingo.
Yeah. So I do believe that I'm an amazing healer. Whether I'm helping people heal themselves, which is what I know is the truth, or whatever they want to believe. And so I've only dabbled a little bit in that so far, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, accolades. And I think it's because that's what I believe, and that's my truth. Anyway, that's all.
And now you know your truth. Now, see, now, Maine, watch this. She can choose to go to work again and try to be a salesman, which is not her truth. But it's that truth that is a higher truth of fear than the truth that she goes, I can be a healer and I don't need anything to start because I am.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Mm-hmm. Everyone has their truths. So whatever she chooses, it's not right or not wrong. It's not a waste of time. It's a now perfect experience of truth experienced. I am. Yeah. And then as you have the debate, Jennifer, of yourself of what you are passionate about, to let go of truths that were bestowed upon you as limited through a lost authority, to remember your own authority, your worthiness returned, then you can engage in that as you choose to deplete the truths of old and realign yourself with your own truths. And then let's say you're a little bit less trying so hard at work. And then you end up getting fired because you really don't care. And then all of a sudden you just go ahead and start to heal somebody for the hell of it. And they attract you. They attract to you because the vibration says, ah, there's a healer close. Me. And someone says, ah, I can feel a healer close to me. And then you guys will connect and it'll be that. You following?
Yep. I totally believe that's what's going to happen. But the other thing is, a job kind of fell in my lap, a different job, because my friend Holly, who works in the operating room, she's a nurse also, told me about this job, and they had already closed the position because they had a lot of applicants, but they reopened it for me and I applied and they made me an offer today. So I'm not going to be going to this job I don't like for very much longer. So that's good.
Why very much longer? Because that's your truth. I could not go to the job at all.
Well, for me, I don't even give a crap anymore. And I do care about my boss and it's going to fall on her. So I'm helping her.
Time.
Before I go.
Time. That's a truth. That's not a standard. You're not helping her. Your truth is that you are helping her because you see a consequence of your action of leaving. So you're obligating yourself through a truth of what you have seen in obligation to not cause pain of this person because you chose to just start your new job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's your truth. Be good with who you are.
I am.
Perfect.
I am. Thank you, though.
You're welcome. Go. Excellent. Anyone else? Perfect. All right, what time? All right, guys. I love you. As if I couldn't.
Thank you. Thanks, God.
See you on the next one.
Love you. Thank you.